Just a quick reminder before we get into the lesson to download the hands-on lab exercises that accompany this complete CCNA course. I'll include the link in the description. Also remember to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any of the lessons in the course. Okay, let's get into it. In this lecture, we're going to work through a case study where you can see cloud computing in action with a live demo. So the case study is what you can see on the slide here. And let's say we're a company and we're a startup and we want to deploy a new 3-tier e-commerce application. So we're going to be selling something online. It's a 3-tier e-commerce application, meaning the first tier is our front-end web servers, where customers will connect in over the internet. Traffic from there goes back to some application middleware servers, which will process the orders. And then at the back end, the last tier, we've got our database servers, which holds the inventory and customer information, etc. So it's a pretty standard 3-tier e-commerce application. Now, we've got choices of how we are going to deploy this. Let's say that we are going to be a large company, so we want to have a bulletproof data center to house our application in. Well, we could build our own data center, and then we could buy all of our own equipment, and we could provision it and configure it all ourselves. Obviously, that would take months, if not years, to find the site for a building, to have the building built, to make sure that there's redundant power and cooling in there, then to buy all of the network equipment, the storage equipment, the servers, get everything onto the site, have everything physically connected together and then configured, and also to test it would take literally months to do that. And it's not just for new companies like a new startup. This could be an existing company and they want to deploy a new application, and again, they want it's a mission critical application, so they want it to be in a highly available data center. The same choices again there. They could either maybe put it into their existing facility, but the facility would have to be that kind of really hardened data center to house this application. If not, they would be building their own facility, and then all of the other problems as well. Another thing is that for that new startup, they're going to have to find staff that know how to do this, and they're going to want staff that they're confident that they know how to do this in a best practice manner. So that's one way that you can do it, which is going to take months and be hugely expensive and be mostly a capital expenditure. The other way that you can do it is you could deploy it in a cloud solution. And when you do that, you're deploying it in somebody else's data center. The data center is already built, and you know that it's been built to the best practice. You know that everything in there is redundant and highly available. And for provisioning it, you can get it up and running in literally hours instead of taking months or years. So let's have a look at how we're going to do that. And for the example, I'll use AWS, Amazon Web Services, because they are by far the most popular cloud provider for this type of service. So I've already opened up the console in AWS, and for this we want infrastructure as a service, IaaS. I'll explain what the different deployment models are later in this lecture. IaaS is what Amazon are probably best known for. Well, they're known for the other products as well, but it's their most popular product. So their solution for this is EC2, stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. You see Amazon provide all the other types of cloud services as well. You can also provision storage in their cloud, database applications. You can do application development there, etc. But for this example, we're going to use EC2 because we're going to be provisioning servers in the Amazon cloud, and we also want to have our firewalls and our load balancers there as well. But let me just go back to the diagram to explain that while this page is loading. So I said about the 3-tier application with the front-end web servers, the application middleware, and the back-end database servers. In front of that, obviously we want to have a firewall facing out to the internet. And when traffic comes in, we've got a farm of web servers here. These are all basically identical, running the same application. When traffic comes in, we want to load balance it across these different servers. So we've got load balancers in front there. We'll see that for this particular application, it's handled within the application for sending traffic back from the front-end web servers. Also notice that we've got no single points of failure here. We've got redundant components for everything. So let's go and have a look at an example of how we would configure this. So for the servers, we're going to run those as virtual machines, as instances in AWS. This is using virtualization that I'm going to talk about in another lecture later in this section. Let's see how to do it. So I'll click on Launch Instance, and I'm going to configure my web servers first. First thing it asks me is, what operating system do you want to run on those servers? And it gives me an option of lots of different flavors of Linux. I could also run them on Windows if I wanted to as well. I'm just doing a demo here, so I'll just take a cheap option, which is the Amazon Linux AMI. When I say it's cheap, I mean you don't have to pay for licensing like you do with Windows. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good operating system. Next thing is I need to specify the CPU and the amount of memory in those servers. Again, I will just take the lowest one here because it's just a demo with one virtual CPU and 1 gig of RAM. If we scroll down, you see that you can get really powerful servers. Like there's one with 40 virtual CPUs, 160 gig of RAM. Obviously, the more powerful the server you want, the more it's going to cost you. I then click on Next to configure the instance details. And in here, I can specify how many instances I want. So in our example, we were just starting off with 4 servers, but you could say however many web servers you want. So this is just for the web servers, because these are all going to be identical. I would provision the middleware servers and the database servers separately because they're going to have different specifications. So I would put 4 in here. I'll just leave it as 1 in the demo. Also notice it's asking if I want to configure an auto-scaling group. What you can do is you can monitor how busy the servers are in AWS. And if it goes above a certain threshold, for example, the amount of connections that are coming in or how busy the CPU is, it can automatically spin up additional servers. So that's the elasticity that we were talking about before. You can manually add servers on demand anytime you want to. You can also have this automatically be done for you as well. So based on the current demand, additional servers can be spun up. Also, if the demand drops below a threshold, you can start shutting servers down. So it's very elastic and you can automate that. The next thing is the network configuration. So looking at our example, we're going to need 3 different networks here. I was running out of space and diagram, but I'd probably put firewalls in between each of these tiers as well. So the web servers, the middleware servers, and the backend servers are all going to be in different VLANs and in different IP subnets. So I would configure that with the network settings. Then I can click on Next and add storage. Here I say how much storage I want for the different servers, whether I want to use local disks inside the servers or an external SAN, and I can also get performance guarantees for my storage in here as well. I'll just accept the default. The next page, you can add tags. This is useful if you've got a lot of servers for keeping them organized. Then on the next page, it's the security group. And this is where I configure my firewall rules. So I specify the type of traffic that I want to allow coming into those different servers. I then click on Review and Launch, and I can view a summary of the specifications of my server here, and then click on Launch, and in around 10 or 15 minutes time, those servers will be up and ready. So you can see the difference here with using a traditional on-premises or colo model, where it takes over a week to get new servers online. When you're using cloud, you can have new servers up and running literally in 15 minutes. It's super fast, and you can spin up additional ones whenever you need to them quickly as well. In fact, let's look at the characteristics of cloud that we covered in the last lecture. I've got that on the next slide. So here were the cloud characteristics. First one, on-demand self-service. I did not need to raise a ticket and have somebody manually configure everything for me. It was all automated, it was on demand and through a self-service web-based portal. That's what you'll usually see for cloud services. The next one, rapid elasticity. You saw that I could provision them very quickly and it can automatically scale up and down in line with demand. The next one is broad network access. When that server is finished being built, I'll be able to access it from inside my own office, or I could access it from out on the internet. The next one is resource pooling. I'm going to cover this in more depth as we go through the rest of this section. Those virtual servers, they're not running on their own separate dedicated server hardware. They're shared with other customers as well. The benefit I get from this is it lowers the costs. And then finally, the measured service, based on how much virtual CPU power I wanted, the amount of memory, the amount of storage, and other characteristics as well, I'm going to be billed based on what I provisioned. And I'm going to get a monthly bill for that. So it's going to be an ongoing OPEX cost rather than a large upfront CAPEX cost having to spend at the start. Okay, let's have a look at some other things as well while I'm here, just to point this out, because when we get into the software-defined networking, I'm going to talk about this some more. So if I go back, you know, when I was talking about how we do it traditionally, there's going to be different teams that are going to be involved in getting this set up. You've got the server team who are going to install the operating system, install any patches, and also install the applications. You've got the networking team who are going to configure the VLANs, configure the routing information, configure the firewalls, and configure the load balancers. And you've got the storage team who are going to provision the storage. If it's in a large data center, it's probably going to be external storage. So they're going to have to configure the storage for this particular server and secure it as well. So that's all very manual and it makes it more time consuming. When we use cloud, I specified everything I wanted through this really easy to use self-service portal. While I was in here, let's have a quick look again. So I specified the amount of CPUs and memory I wanted, and on the page before this, I specified the operating system that I wanted. After I click review and launch, it does not go back to somebody who's going to manually configure this. It's all automated. So we've got the front-end software here where I specify the operating system, the actual specs of the server, also the networking details as well, and the storage details. And spinning up, actually bringing up the server, is all automated. So we've got this front-end software that is then going to talk to software behind here that can talk to the different server, storage, and networking components and automatically provision everything. That's how we can be up and running in around 15 minutes time. I could also configure other security settings in here as well. So this just gives you an idea of the standard kind of services that we use with cloud. Okay, that will do for this lecture. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to get the complete course ad-free right now, then you can enroll in my CCNA Gold Bootcamp by clicking the link above my head or in the description. It also includes full study notes, quizzes, and 150 pages of additional troubleshooting labs you can't find anywhere else.